Hello students, welcome back to school. I'm Teacher Cherry. Today we're going to discuss about special products of polynomials. One of them are square of a binomial, square of a trinomial, product of sum and difference of two terms, and cube of a binomial. Now, what is polynomials? Polynomials is an expression consisting of variables, coefficients, and constants that involves only the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and non-negative integer exponent. Polynomials have a variable. It is a symbol for a number that we do not know yet. Example, the letter in English alphabet. X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. Next, coefficient. Number multiplied to a variable. Exponent, it refers to the number of times a number is multiplied by itself. Constants, terms that has no variable. Next, here is an example of polynomials. 3x squared minus 5, where x is the variables, 3 is the coefficient, 2 is the exponent. We call it as power of 2 squared. So 3x squared. Power of 3 cubed. And 5 is constant. Next, we have types and degrees of polynomials. What are the types of polynomials? We have monomial, one term, 3x squared. Binomial has two terms, 3x squared plus 5x. Trinomial has three terms, 3x squared plus 5x minus 7. And if it has many terms, it is called as polynomials, the generic term. Next, what are the degrees of polynomials? We have linear expression, which the power of 1. Example, x minus 9. Quadratic expression, power of 2. X squared minus 9. Cubic expression, power of 3. Example, x cubed minus 9. As you can see, if it is linear expression, the exponent is 1. Is 1. In quadratic expression, the exponent is 2. In cubic expression, the power in the exponent is 3. Next, special products of polynomials, one of them is square of a binomial. When you say square, it is raised to power of 2, and binomial has two terms. Now, example of square a binomial. X plus y squared is equal to what? So step 1, we're going to square the first term. So our first term here is x, then multiply by x is equal to x squared. Multiply by itself to get x squared. Next, step 2, twice the product of the first and last term. So, last term is y and first term is x. Multiply by 2, we have 2xy. Next, step 3, square the last term. Our last term is y. So, multiply by itself, y times y is equal to y squared to get positive y squared. The answer for x plus y squared is equal to x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Next, another example, d minus 6 squared. Again, we're going to follow the steps. 1, square the first term, which is d. d times t is equal to d squared. Next, twice the product of the first and last term. 2 multiply by d, then multiply by negative 6 is equal to negative 12d. Third, square the last term. Negative 6 multiply by negative 6 is equal to negative 6 squared is equal to positive 36. Now, the answer for a square of binomial d minus 6 squared is equal to d squared minus 12d plus 36. Next, let's have another example. 3c plus 4e squared. Step 1. Square the first term. 3c multiplied by 3c is equal to 9c squared. Step 2. Twice the product of the first and last term. First term is 3c, last term is 4e. Then multiply by 2 is equal to positive 24ce. Step 3. Square the last term. The last term is 4e multiplied by 4e is equal to 4e squared is equal to positive 16e squared. Next, the answer for 3c plus 4e squared is equal to 9c squared plus 24ce plus 16e squared. So, 9c squared plus 24ce plus 16e squared is a perfect square because the last term and the first term is a perfect square. Next, try this one. C plus 2 squared. 2r minus 3 squared. 4f plus 5d squared. So what is the answer for c plus 2 squared? We have c squared plus 4c plus 4. Very good. Next, for 2r minus 3 squared is equal to 4r squared minus 12r plus 9. Very good. For the given 4f plus 5d squared, what is the answer? Very good. It is 16f squared plus 40fd plus 25d squared. Next, we have square of a trinomial. When you say square, it is raised to power of 2. A trinomial has 3 terms. For example, we have x plus y plus z squared. Step 1. Sum of the squares of the first, second, and last term. So our first term here is x. Second term, y. Last term is z. So multiply by itself. So we have x times x is equal to x squared. Y times y is equal to y squared. Z times z is equal to z squared. Then sum. Get the sum. We have here x squared plus y squared plus z squared. Step 2. Twice the product of the first and second term. So here, our first term is x, second term is y. Multiply by 2, we have positive 2xy. Step 3. Twice the product of the second and last term. Our second term for here is y, last term is z, multiply by 2 to get positive 2yc. Step 4. Twice the product of the first term and last term. Our first term is x, last term is z, multiply by 2, we have 2xz, positive 2xz. So, the answer for x plus y plus z squared is equal to x squared plus y squared plus z squared plus 2xy plus 2yz plus 2xz. Next, we have another example. We have d squared minus 12d plus 6 squared. First, sum of the square of the first, second, and last term. Our first term is d squared. Second term is negative 12d. Last term is positive 6. So, d squared times d squared, we have d raised to 4. Negative 12d times negative 12d is equal to 144d squared. 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So, we have d raised to 4 plus 144d squared plus 36. Second step. Twice the product of first and second term. Our first term is d squared multiplied by second term, negative 12d. Then multiply by 2. We have negative 24d cubed. Next, twice the product of the second and last term. So our second term is negative 12d. Last term is positive 6. Multiply by 2, we have negative 144d. Step 4, twice the product of the first and last term. So our first term is d squared, last term is 6, multiply by 2. We have positive 12d squared. Next, combine like terms. D raised to 4 minus 12 d raised to cube plus d cube plus 144d squared plus 12d squared minus 144d plus 36. We have d raised to 4 minus 24d cube plus 156d squared minus 144d plus 36. Next, product of the first and second term. First term is A, second term is B. So we multiply by 2 to have positive 2AB. Next, twice the product of the second and last term. Second term is B, last term is C. Multiply by 2, we have positive 2BC. Next, twice the product of the first and last term. So our first term is A, last term is C. Get the product, we have AC, multiply by 2 to have positive 2AC. So our answer for quantity A plus B plus C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared plus C squared plus 2AB plus 2BC plus 2AC. Another example, quantity D minus E plus F squared. First, get the sum of the first, second, and last term. So our D is the first term, negative E is the second term, and F is the last term. So we have D squared plus E squared plus F squared. Next, twice the product of the first and second term. So D is the first term, second term is negative E, multiply by the by 2, we have negative 2DE. Next, twice the product of the second and last term. So we have negative E for second term and last term for F. Multiply by 2, we have negative 2EF. Next, we have twice the product of the first and last term. Get the product of the first and last term. So, positive D, multiply by F, multiply by 2. We have positive 2DF. So, the answer for quantity D minus E plus F squared is equal to D squared plus E squared plus F squared minus 2DE minus 2EF plus 2DF. Another type of special factor of polynomials is product of sum and difference of two terms. You're going to get the difference of the squares of the terms. For example, I have here quantity A plus B times quantity A minus B. Look at quantity A plus B. Here, the first term is A, the last term is B. So, step 1, we're going to get the square of the first term. A times A is equal to A squared. Second step, square the last term. We have B times B is equal to B squared. So, we have A squared and B squared. Then get the difference of the square. We have A squared minus B squared. So, the answer for quantity A plus B times quantity A minus B is equal to A squared minus B squared. Next, let's try this one. We have quantity 2B squared plus 3 times quantity 2B squared minus 3. Then,
follow the step number 1 and 2. Step 1, square the first term. So our first term here is 2v squared and the last term is 3. 2v squared times 2v squared is equal to 4v raised to 4. Then, next, square the last term. The last term here is 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So, we have 4v raised to 4 and 9. Then, get the difference of the squares of the terms. So, we have 4v raised to 4 minus 9. The answer for quantity 2v squared plus 3 times 2v squared minus 3 is equal to 4v raised to 4 minus 9. Next, we have another type. It is cube of a binomial. When you say cube, it is raised to power of 3. When you say binomial, it has two terms. For example, I have here quantity x plus y cubed. First, we're going to get the sum of the cube of the first and second term. So here, our first term is x, second term is y. X cubed plus y cubed. Second, 3 times the product of the square of the first term and second term. So we have 3 times x squared times y is equal to 3x squared y. Is equal to positive 3x squared y. Next, step 3, 3 times the product of the first term of the square of the second term. Now, second term ang merong square. So, 3 times x times y squared is equal to positive 3xy squared. So, the answer for quantity x plus y cubed is equal to x cubed plus y cubed plus 3x squared y plus 3xy squared. Next, another example, I have here quantity x minus y cubed. So again, to get the answer, follow the steps. First, get the sum of the cube of the first and second term. So we have x cubed and minus y cubed. Next, 3 times the product of the square of the first term and second term. So we have 3 times x squared times negative y is equal to negative 3x squared y. Next, step 3, 3 times the product of the first term and of the square of the second term. 3 times negative y squared is equal to 3xy squared. Positive 3xy squared. So the answer for quantity x minus y cubed is equal to x cubed minus y cubed minus 3x squared plus 3xy squared. Next. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.